Yes, guys. Welcome back to another stream. And we've got the UCL Champions League review show, man. Harry Kane, stinker. Serge Gnabry, stinker. Vincent Kompany, actually. Maybe we'll have to talk about his stinker as well, mate, because some of his decisions yesterday was a bit dodgy as well. A W for Villa, though, which is absolutely massive, and a W for Liverpool as well. Loads to discuss. Make sure you guys are smashing up the likes. Join me. It's Robs, Dan, and Potsy as well. Good to see you, lads. Listen, I want to just start off with Harry Kane, bro, because I have a massive agenda against this guy. Yeah, I think he gets gassed up way too much. I think he's overrated, man, because every time I see this guy, recently, he's been poor. Yesterday was poor, yeah. I don't know if any of you guys watched the Leverkusen game at the weekend, yeah, but he did absolutely nothing in that game as well. Yeah, Dan, I'll come at you first on this one. Harry Kane, man, is this guy overrated, bro?
It's difficult to say, isn't it? I think he's more of a flat track bully. I think it's the smaller teams where he can be unbelievable against and really stat pad his numbers. And then in the big games when his teams seem to need him, he's always sort of fallen away or been a bit quieter than we'd all hope. So don't know if it's tough to say overrated. I think if we were talking about him winning a Ballon d'Or, it might be overrating him. But I think he's just a bit of a flat track. But I mean, he always turned up against Arsenal, didn't he? But other than that, I don't really remember him having many top performances in big games. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I
think it's harsh, man. I think it's harsh. Look, it's hard for me as a Gooner, man. I hate him, but I think he's ridiculous, man. I think he's ridiculous still. I know that the last couple of games have been quiet. Look at his stats this season. 2 games in the Champions League, 4 goals. 12 games in the Bundesliga, 8 goals. Sorry, read that wrong. 5 games in the Bundesliga, 5 goals. Last season, 36 goals in 32 games. Last season in the Champions League, 8 goals in 12 games. The stats are mad. I think other than Haaland, he's up there, isn't he, in terms of his stats? So, look, I think he's an incredible player. I think he has been over the years. I will say that he will look back at his career and think, oh, my goodness, how have I scored this many goals and got nothing to show for it? I think that's fair. I think he should have left Tottenham a hell of a lot sooner. I couldn't believe that he signed that contract. His brother was an absolute fool, his agent, for saying do it. Because for me, when Pochettino was there and not winning anything, how did he believe that, wow, we've come in 3rd in the league? Well, that means we're going to go win it in the next 5 years. Like, for me, he needed to go and leave for Man City, in my opinion. I understand Man City now have got the better deal with Haaland, but he should have done all he can to get a move earlier, man, because he'll look back at his career and he'll think, crikey, I wish I was Jamie Vardy. Real talk. Look back and think, I wish I was Jamie Vardy, and that's mad. To think you'll wish you're Jamie Vardy, who, by the way, no disrespect, unbelievable story, but an FA Cup and a Premier League he'd much rather have than all of the stuff he's done that's good in Champions League football regularly for Tottenham, to be fair, and for Bayern Munich. And he'd go down as probably Tottenham's greatest ever player. And for Bayern Munich, he's managed to go there. It's like he's cursed, man. For England as well. Like, real talk, for England, he's done unbelievable things, but he was poor in this tournament just gone, man. I don't know if he was unfit or what, but I thought he was our worst player, if I'm honest. So, look, he's having a bad time at parts, but I think it's a bit harsh to say that he's overrated, depending on how much people rate him. I mean, if people are saying he's the best striker ever to exist, then yeah, they're overrating him. But if they're saying that he is what he is, which I think he's a top striker in the bracket of the Haalands and Lewandowskis of this world, then I think that's fair. But for me, I think he is quality, man, and he will continue to score goals.
Do you know what? I think Dan hit the nail on the head. I think he's a bit of a flat track bully because I can see both sides. I'm with you, Potts, in regard that he, in the last 5 to 10 years, he has been in the top 3-4 strikers in world football. But albeit he's playing for Tottenham, you have to add context to this, but his goals aren't ever really of any real importance. I always cut him a bit of slack for the Champions League final against us. That's on Potts. You can't. I know he's their best player, but you can't rush him in and expect him to do something in the biggest game of his career. But I feel like he will stat pad against the smaller teams. And when it matters, international tournaments, I would say even some title race games for Chelsea. Remember Battle of the Bridge and whatnot? That was Son coming up trumps for Spurs and not Kane. So I feel like his goals never really have that much importance. But I think overrated is harsh. But then you do look at your best players and think, big games, we look to you. You're our best player. Do something for us. And he just hasn't been underwhelmed for England. Even this tournament he scored, I think he got top goal scorer. I think Southgate's first major, the 2018 World Cup. It was more tap-ins, penalties. I'd say other players were doing a bit more than he was. So I think overrated is harsh, but I think, me personally, I think he's rated how he should be because like you said, Potts, if you're going to include him in Ballon d'Or and best striker ever, whatnot, then he's overrated in that regard. But in terms of the number 9s of the past 5-10 years, he can hang with them. The goals speak for itself, but he needs to do it in bigger games. And I agree with you, Potts. I even think I think a league title for him at Bayern Munich is inevitable. Champions League, you never know. It's hard to win. But I think by the time his contract ends, he would have won a league title at Bayern Munich. But 1 or 2, does that really consolidate his career? Like, you're guaranteed that at Bayern Munich, bar last season. It's a tricky one with him, but he needs to do more in the big moments. It's as simple as that.
You know what it is as well for me, yeah? It's like, as a City fan, like I always getting told that like Haaland needs to do more, right? He needs to drop deep and do more. And I'm just like, I'm watching Kane and I'm like, I don't want him to do what Kane's doing. I don't want him to drop deep and like play CD. Yeah, there was a time yesterday Harry Kane picked up the ball and like off the defender, and I was like, I don't want him to be doing that. I want him to be in the box scoring goals. You know what I mean? This is what I want. And
Bro,
Kane
Haaland doesn't need to either. When people say Haaland needs to drop deeper, why? He's scoring 40 goals a season. Why does he need to? If people want to say who's the better footballer, then obviously Kane is. But if who's a better goal scorer, it's Haaland, right? Haaland stays up there, kill, goal. Kane gets the goals and he drops in deeper, does a lot more from deep lying. But that's not the question for me. If you said to me, who do you want in your team? I'm picking Haaland because he scores more goals. So I don't know, man. I don't think it matters.
And the thing is, it's absurd when people wanted Haaland to drop in. When you've got creators like Foden, De Bruyne, Bernardo doing it for you anyway. Like,
there's no need, man.
No disrespect to Spurs, but you're paying for Spurs. Maybe you do need to drop in and create. Do you know what I mean? But Haaland doesn't have to. He's got people doing that for him. It's crazy.
Yeah. Nah, it's mad. It is mad. Guys, make sure you start smashing up these likes as well. Come on, man. Let's get the likes up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well if you're new. What did you make of the game last night then? I know, Roms, you caught the highlights of it, but yeah, Bayern went to Villa. I don't know what was going on. I feel like Vinny... Listen, I like, obviously, City legend, innit? So I want to be backing him, but I feel like he got some of the stuff wrong yesterday. There was stop starting Musiala. I think there's a weird one. Someone told me he was ill, but then he come on at half time or like later on, so I don't think he was ill. I don't know why he kept Serge Gnabry on, because he was having a stinker when Elise was actually playing quite well. Obviously, I don't know, man. I just feel like Bayern yesterday, I think Vinny got some of the tactics wrong, and on the flip side, Emery, yeah, we didn't give him his flowers. He got everything right. What did you lads think of the game last night, man?
I thought it was an absolutely solid performance from Villa. I think to come off the back of a draw against Ipswich, where there are a couple of blips in that performance, to absolutely get it spot on against Bayern Munich probably shows where their focus probably was. To be honest with you, it probably wasn't fully on that Ipswich game. Vinny's a weird one for me. I watched the Leverkusen game at the weekend as well. I'm not sold. I think it looks really good when it works, that football, but at times there's obvious mistakes there that I just can't get my head around, to be completely honest with you. I think it's one of those managers that's going to take a bit of time and just sort of see how he develops and how his style of football sort of plays out and whether or not it leads to success, because Bayern Munich don't feel like the same Bayern Munich to me that I've been fearful of in every Champions League I've ever seen them play in.
Nah, no way.
They just don't feel the same, do they?
Yeah, nah. They don't. And I guess part of it, though, comes down to the players. I mean, I was doing like a little bit of a little comparing their team yesterday, comparing it like when we started playing them like 10 years ago, bro. Like when he had Robben and Ribéry and Lewandowski. Now they've got Serge Gnabry, bro. And he dropped an all-time stinker yesterday, by the way. Yeah, absolutely horrific. Could have equalised as well.
Kane lost his head with him at one point, didn't he? Did you see that?
Yeah. Was that when he
should have as well?
Yeah,
he went through. He should have squared it, and he shot. It was an awful shot as well. Look, I like Gnabry because obviously he's an older ex-Arsenal lad. I honestly believe we should have kept him, but he's gone on to do good things at Bayern Munich. I mean, they're sitting top of the league and they're scoring goals and all this stuff. But Vincent Kompany, I think he's got a lot to prove, man. I was amazed that you could take Burnley down and get the Bayern Munich job. That's how bad the managers are out there at the moment. Yeah. You can pull off an all-time low and get Burnley down and then go, yeah, go on, then I'll go take Bayern now. Like, to me, I don't know. Look, if you're Pep's mate, you get a job, basically. That's what it is. I'm not too sure, man. It is. I'm not too sure if Kompany is this great. I mean, look, I think the players are good. I think the players are the reason they're up there. Kane scores goals. Leroy Sané scores goals. Musiala, we know about. I think Kimmich is a very, very good player. But some of their players, I think, personally, I think they deserve to be looking at other opportunities. But look, I don't know where you guys think Bayern Munich will do. I personally believe they'll win the league, and I think that they'll probably get to the quarterfinals/semi-finals of the Champions League. But whether they'll go all the way, I don't know. But yeah, look, I don't know about Vincent Kompany, if I'm honest.
Do you know what, Potts? Yeah, obviously I didn't watch the 90 minutes, but as the Liverpool game started, I looked at the starting 11, and like LB said, I got told, LB, you got told he was ill, then I got told he's rested. You don't rest him in a Champions League game. You do that for like a league game or something at the weekend. But then I also saw another admission, and then I had to check their other starting 11s, and why did they sign Paulinho if he's not going to start for them? Because he hasn't really been starting for them in previous games as well. I was like, hold on, you spent how many? You've been chasing him for 2 windows. You finally got him, and you don't play him. But then I had to add context to it. The previous window, not summer window, obviously the window where they went to sign him in January. Obviously, Company wasn't manager. Maybe Company doesn't favour him because Kimmich was playing right back a lot of last season. And I just kind of thought, I agree with LB. I think some of the changes were a bit questionable, but I've not watched Bayern Munich a lot this season at all. Again, at the weekend, we were on the same time as them. So whenever I want to watch them, for some reason, Liverpool play at the same time. But I don't know. I think you're bang on, Potts. I think to get the Burnley job, to get relegated with Burnley and get the Bayern Munich job, it's crazy. The only thing I can think of is maybe style of play, because I think it's always naive when a championship team come up and think they can play how they played in a championship in the Premier League. You're seeing it with Southampton now with Martin, and he looks like he's out the door. I always think it's a naive. You have to tinker your game a bit because you're playing against better opposition. But I think that's the only reason why Company got that job, to be fair, because look, they were suffering with Tuchel football for the most part of 2 years. I think they wanted a more attractive side of play, but he doesn't have the experience just yet. That's not to say he can't go on and be a good manager, but a year or two at Anderlecht and Burnley, it's not enough. It's not enough, man.
You know who else is massively overhyped and overrated, by the way, right? I remember years ago when we had Wenger and then we had Emery, I was crying out for centre-halves because we had shockers at the time, right? And I looked at Konaté, funny enough, and Upamecano, both at Leipzig, and I thought, right, we got to get these two in because they look quality. This Upamecano is an absolute joker, by the way. He is awful. Like, he is so bad, man. It's crazy. Last night, he should have been sent off, mate. He had a shocker.
Upper Maguire, innit? Yeah, facts, bro. Like, do you remember when that
that was going around?
That is super. He's funny. Him. He is. Every time I watch this Upamecano in like the Champions League, he's always causing issues. But for Bayern, not the other team. Like he's just not. He's a bit of a bozo, isn't he? Yeah, he's got that bozo gene. And like every time I watch him, Kim played all right last night. But yeah, man, does anyone here think legitimately Bayern can win the Champions League? Because I'm not gonna lie, I've not got them anywhere near the Champions League, boys. Like I think they'll be lucky to get to the semi-final. I'm gonna be real with you.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah. I think maybe last 16 quarters. I know obviously they got pedigree, they've won it a lot of times, but with this squad and Company being the common denominator, not yet. Maybe in 2-3 years' time, but just not. I think everything's a bit too new for them when it comes to the formation, the manager. Kane, let's be honest, coming of age, he's not the Kane he used to be. I just don't like, but Dan said earlier, I don't look at that Bayern team and are fearful of them. Back in the day when you had your Robin Ribéry's and Schweinsteiger, etc., you looked at that team like, we're up for a game. Like, we are genuinely up for a game. Now it's kind of like, we can take them on. Put it like this, Potts. I think if you was to play Bayern Munich this season again, I think you knock them out. I think you're more equipped to knock them out, man. But yeah, I think quarters.
We did last year, Roms, if I'm honest. Like last year at home, we should have had, and we made silly mistakes. Kivior obviously got subbed with the mistakes he made, and essentially that put us out because obviously it wasn't really like they killed us. But yeah, I think you're right. I'd be disappointed if we drew Bayern and lost to them again, man. I really would. Like for me, I see City and Bayern and Real Madrid ahead of them. And if I'm honest, I see Arsenal ahead of them. We should be, we should be ahead of them. So yeah, that's where I'm at with Bayern Munich, really.
The only thing with Bayern is they have the ability to just turn up on a Champions League
night.
It,
Dan.
They are Bayern Munich at the end of the day. It's the same factor as Liverpool, even Real Madrid when they've been against it. They've been 2-0 down, come back and win 3-2. These teams have heritage in that competition, and the club just knows how to navigate it. They still got players like Thomas Müller on the bench who is an absolute expert at navigating like these sort of fixtures. So he'll get the dressing room up for it. And they've obviously all been there, and a lot of those players in Bayern Munich's team have been in World Cup finals, Euros finals. They've got winners in that team, which I always stress is so important. But yeah, there's under Company, it's definitely a side in progress and transition. Just to touch on Paulinho, Pavlovic is a local hero coming through the academy for them, and he scored an unbelievable goal at the weekend.
I see, yeah.
I think it's probably, although he did make a mistake as well, it's probably fair to say he's actually keeping Paulinho out of the team at the moment. The one for me that I was baffled at last night, to be honest, was Conrad Lima at right back. I don't understand that, especially when you said that Kimmich has been playing there. I know they signed that guy from Galatasaray and he's had a couple of injuries, but yeah, that's always been a bit of a problem for them right back, to be honest with you, since Lahm left. They've never really got someone in that's been an absolute solid right back for them.
Well, they tried to get Kyle Walker off us, funny enough. Last year or 2 years ago, and then Pep took him out to dinner and convinced him to stay. But by all accounts, Walker was gone. Like he was out of contract. He was like, "I'm leaving, boys. I'm going to Bayern Munich." And then Pep took him out to dinner, convinced him to stay, made him captain, and yeah, he's still here.
When he did the video, I'll be in it.
All the news,
The wolf of bullshit.
I'm not fucking leaving. A lot of City fans wish he fucking did leave, to be honest. I'm a bit real with you. That's just the truth. Let's give Emery and let's give Aston Villa some flowers here, boys. Yeah, because like I'm gonna be real with you. Yeah, 2 wins out of 2. Obviously, first game they played young boys. They expect to win there, but they bopped them off the park. Like it was an annihilation, really. Getting a win last night. Duran, we need to speak about this guy as well. Unreal baller. Like, do we think that Aston Villa could finish top 8? I mean, they're currently 2 wins out of 2. They're sitting pretty in 6th. Their next game in the Champions League is Bologna at home. That should be a win. They've then got Bruges away. So the next 2 games, they could be winning them both. That'll put them on, what, 12 points with 4 games left? They could finish top 8, boys. Like, they probably could, to be honest with you.
I think they will. And I think that they should with the games they've got left. I mean, they've got the Bayern Munich one out of the way. Juventus at home is the other one. They've got like Celtic at home, Bruges. You mentioned the Bologna. I think they're going to get in the top 8. I don't see any of their fixtures look at it left and go, oh, no, they ain't doing that. But they've got the easy ones out of the way. I expected them to beat young boys. I didn't expect them to beat Bayern Munich. I had Bayern Munich to win that game because I just thought it'd be too much. But they proved that wrong. So for me, I think Aston Villa can do it. And this John Duran guy, I mean, wow, he's been phenomenal, hasn't he? I mean, he was spoken about last season by Billy quite a lot on the channel when he was saying to me about how he really rates him. And then he looked like he was leaving. I bet Villa are really happy he stayed, man, because he's keeping Watkins like really, really, what's it called, like itchy feet. Toes, you know, he's got to get on his he's got to get on the score sheets now because Duran is absolutely killing it, and I think he's got a goal every 48 minutes this season.
His goal to minute ratio is an absolute joke.
I've got a question for you lot. I know you, as a manager, you're not necessarily going to fix what's not broken, but don't you think Emery soon, if he keeps scoring at this rate, he's going to have to try and accommodate both Watkins and Duran?
Or you drop Watkins.
Yeah, or you drop Watkins, yeah. But then Watkins has started to score again. I think if you said at the start of the season, Watkins started off a bit slow. I think we would all agree. I think he didn't score in his first 3. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat as well. But I know he started off slow. I remember speaking to Billy. He was at
you're
Watkins.
right. He didn't score in his first 3, and in his last 3, he scored 4 goals.
He scored. That's what I'm saying. So now he's picking up for him. Duran keeps scoring. There could be a game where he maybe goes, I don't know, 4 or 2's kind of out.
This is Duran's stats so far this season. Premier
Look at
League.
the minutes played, by the way.
That's ridiculous.
Minutes played is absolutely wild.
Even last season as well, I think he had the best goals to minute ratio.
Yeah, and then this is
over
Watkins.
5 goals.
So he's got. You are right, though, Roms. Like he's got a problem, Emery, because like you can't. Like you're gonna have to try and fit Duran in because at some point Duran's gonna be like, "Yo, I want to play football."
Yeah.
This is kind of what happened with City with Haaland and Alvarez. In that we always knew, City fans always knew that at some point one of them was going to leave pretty soon because they're too good. They're too good not to play Alvarez and even though Alvarez.
Can they play them both, Duran and Watkins?
What,
like their system. I don't know if it's because don't they do like last season they were doing something weird where they were putting like McGinn on the wide area and they were putting like Bailey or who was the guy who went Diaby up top with Watkins.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't just do that with Duran and then put Rodgers on the left. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they do something like that.
Yeah, Rodgers is kind of playing as the second striker at the moment, isn't he?
So I wonder if Duran's
not
doing
bad, is he? But still,
you know what I'm saying. Maybe
we also don't know how Duran is over a 90-minute period as well. Like no one's ever really seen him play that duration. Some players are like unbelievable as subs,
That's
as
very
half
true.
an hour. And you know what it is with Duran is yesterday he came on. And I felt like Bayern were just sort of fading. They felt they weren't really in the game as much. A lot of them had tired legs. You can even see on the goal, Neuer, he's in no man's land for the goal. He's like half out. He's not as alert as he was a little bit earlier on in the game. Man. Duran is like so alert and switched on. And we've seen it with so many goals that he scored. He just explodes into a lifeless game at times. And he scores some fantastic goals. So I'm not sure whether or not Emery needs to change if it's working as it is. I mean, If he turns
It's
around,
more,
to
it's more
Duran,
like, will Duran at some point say, "Yo, bro, I want to
Yeah.
be playing"? That's
Chelsea want me. Come on, I want to
Do
either
you know
play
what,
or I'm going to
Dan?
move.
You've made a very good point because the only Villa fan I already know is Billy. Obviously, all of you don't know Billy. And he started a League Cup game against, believe it was Wickham last week or the week before. And Billy was even saying he wasn't this amazing Duran that we've seen. I think he won the penalty and he scored a penalty. But you're spot on, Dan. I think some players are just better coming off the bench. We're yet to see. Obviously, he could be a player that starts and he's sublime. But I actually think with Duran, right, if he carries on this upwards trajectory, I think other than City and maybe Spurs, because they just big money Solanke, I think the other top four could take a punt on him. There's talk Nunes is tipped to leave in January. Jota's a bit injury prone. Arsenal need a number 9. Chelsea, you were already linked with him. And the reason why it'll be frustrating for you lot is because you were quoted 40 million. That's about to get doubled.
Oh, that's gone now, mate. Yeah.
Or doubled now. So
do you know what I said at the time? Like, he needs more football. I was like, this is too soon. And now, obviously, I feel like we should have acted on it. But hindsight's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, well, exactly. This is, and Ramsey's right. The problem that you've got now is they're going to quote at least 65, 70 mil. At least. And then you've got to have the same conversation. Is he worth 65?
He's either going to be unbelievable or be the next Demba Ba. That's how I see it.
Yeah, probably. That is a madness. But yeah, listen, it's going to be crazy if they qualify, man, because like we all know that Emery's a top manager. He's one of the best managers in the competition. He's won Europa League a number of times, and Aston Villa are a top team. So yeah, looking at the fixtures, I think they probably are going to finish in the top 8. But then I'm looking at the league phase, yeah, and I'm like, well, if they're getting in the top 4, right? Are we all agreeing that Liverpool? So we're all agreeing that the four English clubs are getting in the top 8. Is that what we're saying?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I think they will now, which is mad, isn't it?
So who's dropping out of there? Because if the 4 English teams qualify,
I would expect Brest. By the way, I'd expect them to drop off a little bit.
Yeah.
Just got to be careful with your words on this one. But
did you see the CBS commentary, bro? That was what he said.
Lopsided.
Yeah, lopsided, bro. As he
I would expect them and Benfica actually to drop out of that.
Yeah, that was a big win for Benfica.
I think Juventus as well, man. I'm not sold on Juventus. It was a great win yesterday, but I'm not sold on them getting in.
Do you know what, Potts? I was like you, that I did my due diligence. They hardly concede. I don't think they conceded in a league game. You know, I know Champions League.
Bremer did get injured last night, though. So
did he?
Yeah, he did, and he's been unbelievable this season. Vlahovic come alive last night. Conceição as well, and a really good solo goal and a wonderful bit of skill for Juventus's first goal. But Vlahovic looked like the player that some people have sort of quoted him to potentially be last night as well. Yeah, I'm not sure about Juventus either. Yeah, it is a little bit. They need probably some bigger tests, I would say.
Do you know what? Off the top of your head, LB and Potts, what are your games left in? Because I'm not sure of your games. What's your games left in your last 6 games of the league format? Because I know we're saying the top 4 English teams are guaranteed to go through, but I kind of said, yeah, they will. And I was like, hold on, let me actually look at the fixtures first before I make that assumption, because we've got tricky ones. I still back us to finish top 8, but we've still got tricky ones in there. Yeah. We've got Leverkusen to come to Anfield. We've got Real Madrid to come to Anfield. We've got PSV away, and they're flying in their league. I think they've not done too well in Europe at the moment, but
that's Arsenal's, bro. I get City's up now.
Ooh. Sporting and Inter away, back to back.
Sporting and Inter are the 2 hardest ones we've got, really.
Yeah, the rest you should be winning, to be fair.
Fancy us to get top 8. I think we'll beat Shakhtar at home, Monaco at home, Zagreb at home. I think we'll beat Girona away. They lost to Feyenoord last night.
Yeah, Girona trash.
And I think Inter Milan away is probably the hardest one we've got. Sporting away, I fancy us. They lost. Did they lose last night or draw last night? Drew, I think.
Yeah, they drew.
So I fancy us. I know they've got Gyökeres, but really that's the only player that worries me other than the centre half.
Yeah, you'll qualify. All you need to do, is be beating like the Girona, Zagreb, Monaco, and Shakhtar. And if you win that, you'll be on Paris 1 win, 2 win, 3, 4, 5. You'll be on 5 wins. What's that? 15 points plus the Atlanta point. That's 16. That's probably enough. Pick up a point against Sporting or Inter, and then you're chilling.
Yeah, I reckon they say like 12, 13 points should be enough, don't they? But you don't know, do you? You just don't know.
Do you reckon that's still the same though with this new format, Potts?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. That's what they're saying.
24, isn't it now? So I was kind of wondering what
they're saying that, but I don't know. Like that's the new format, 12 to 30. Before it was like 10, wasn't it? win your
Yeah,
3 home games, and then get a point somewhere away. But
I'm
now
saying
it's like
16.
12.
I want to aim
I
for
think it's
16
like-
points, mate.
Yeah, I think
I was
15
thinking between
is what you
16
need.
and 18 is going to put you in a really good place, isn't it? For like
The thing
top
is, you
eight.
just don't want to fuck around in the first year, innit? Because no one
Yeah.
knows. Like, we're not going to know properly. We'll probably won't know properly for another 2-3 years, if we're being honest. And then we'll say, we've got 3 years worth of leagues here. Like, this is the points. Goal difference is another thing that you got to start looking at as well. That's why I was a little bit disappointed the other day. We only beat 4-0 because we could have smacked them up. I'm being serious.
Dortmund are flying with their goal difference.
Exactly. And you don't want to imagine finishing 9th on goal difference and having to play those extra 2 games, but you'd be wounded, wouldn't you? That's why I was kind of just like the other day, we should have really fucking smacked them up. Let me come on to that. Roms, this is a City of fixtures, by the way. We should be fine, bro. Like,
you'll be all
Bruges
right.
at home, Feyenoord at home, Sparta at home, win those 3.
How much did you pay for that draw?
It's what happens when you win the league, bro. You get seeded. You get top seed, bro.
But you know what's so crazy, LB? Yeah, we were in pot 1. Villa, I think, were in pot 4, and they've got an easier run than us. But it's like we didn't get rewarded for actually finishing for being in pot 1. It was crazy.
Sometimes that happens, though, isn't it? It's like when in the old format, you could top the group and be like, "Yes, buzzing, we're going to get the." But then Real Madrid will drop second, and then you get Real Madrid, and you're like, "For fuck's sake, man!" You know what I mean? Just quickly before we ask you a question. This is the Liverpool fixtures. Is it the Liverpool fixtures? Is that Liverpool's? Yeah, it is Liverpool's. No, it's not.
No, this isn't ours. We've got Real
This is
Madrid.
yours. Sorry, man. Wrong screen. Yeah, again, you won the first 2 games. Again, you just got to. The thing is, bro, you don't even have to worry about that Leverkusen and Madrid game. Just beat Leipzig, Girona, Lille, and Eindhoven, and you should be chilling anyway.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Leipzig are no mugs though. I know they lost yesterday, but Sesko and Openda have looked unbelievable. Like they look really good.
But the thing is,
I think Liverpool might even struggle against some of the crazy ones there. I actually think Liverpool can beat Leverkusen and Madrid at Anfield. It's just like, for me, I wouldn't surprise me if you slipped up or something like that. I don't know. Liverpool just have that result in them, don't they? Do you know
Lille have just beaten Madrid last night, so you just
and Madrid, what's going on with Madrid, man? We got to talk about them. Jeez.
The things with Madrid, I checked the highlights, and they've got a problem with their balance. That's the main problem. And I think if we can disrupt them, but I'm suffering with PTSD because our last 3 games we've lost, and we've even went 2-0 up against them and then end up getting battered 5-2. But different manager, different system. When the draws first came out, I just kind of wrote off, Madrid at Anfield again. I always back us, and we always end up losing. But through the course of the season, how I'm watching them play, I was actually at the Bernabeu last week, and I watched them, and they went 3-0 up, and then the team scored 2 goals in like 5 minutes, and they nearly ended up drawing the game. They've got a balance problem with their team, and you know what, Potts? I actually agree with you. I actually back us to beat Madrid and Leverkusen and maybe drop points in a game we shouldn't. I actually think you're spot on, but we should get.
I don't think that will matter. I still think you'll go through in the top 8. But if I had to predict it, I actually fancy you against Madrid and Leverkusen. But it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, like this new format, like a lot of people like it. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool, but it is harder because you've got more games and there's other things that happen. There's going to be twists and turns in this, man. I think people just think it's going to be like the old thing. We're like, right, those 8 will go through, other 8 will go through. Last 16, brilliant. I think there'll be some shocks, man. I think there'll be some twists. I really do.
Well, there is going to be, because if we're all agreeing that the 4 English clubs are going through in the top 8, then there's going to be some big teams that don't qualify. I'll come on to this now. Actually, I want to get yours. What's your view? I'm going to come to Dan first, because you said you're not really a massive fan of this. Because I think the league phase is a good idea, but you didn't like it, bro. What are you saying?
I'm just not sure on it. I think they tried to fix something that wasn't broken. I think they were looking over their shoulders at a Super League, considering and thinking about, we don't want to miss out in case someone else creates it. So they've tried to change a product that wasn't broken. We'll have to see. I think you guys hit the nail on the head, actually, saying that we won't know what this is really going to be like until 3-4 seasons.
Do you not think it was broken, though, bro? Because I think the Champions League group stage was stale as fuck, bro. Like, I can't lie, man.
I feel like you always got a group of death, but then you always got a group that was an absolute walkover for someone like City or something like that as well. So, yeah, I hear you. I guess it throws up more big fixtures often, and it obviously has a bit more jeopardy in it, doesn't it? Because Atletico Madrid are currently sitting there in 23rd and not looking good for them at the moment, is it?
4-0 was crazy.
Yeah.
You know what? Another thing that I like about it that no one really speaks about, it makes me watch other teams. Whereas, because in the last competition, I do watch alongs of other teams, but I'm not watching it for any other reason than hate along. Whereas now, because we're all in one league, I'm not just watching Arsenal to hope they lose or watching Romsey's Liverpool to hope they lose. I'm watching it because I'm like, so where Liverpool going to go in this league phase now? Because they might go above City. And like, it actually means like when you're watching a team, it impacts you as well.
Do you think they could make it a little bit more elite, though? Do you think, like, I look at the table and I'm like, right, 24 teams and then a playoff game. Like, there's 24 teams that can go through, then there's a playoff, and then there's the round of the 16 onwards. It's like you could potentially play 4 more games if you go on to win it as one of the playoff teams than you would have had to play before.
And Dan, for me, this goes back to incentive. It shows you have to start well because then
but you know
you
what
get
it is,
rewarded
Rob?
with 2 less games.
But no one drops out into the Europa League now, so that weakens that. No one drops down. No one drops down into the Conference League now. So, like, I looked at we got Conference League. I looked Fiorentina, Betis, Copenhagen, Chelsea. That's the 4 teams that are Champions League level. No one else is added. We've got like New Saints from Wales, Shamrock Rovers. We're talking about clubs that they're on, no disrespect, but they're on like League 2 level, non-league level, some of these clubs.
Yeah.
Why on earth are the Champions League having 36 teams and removing them from their other competitions potentially? Like, that just doesn't make much sense.
Probably money, and it's money, bro. It's money. The more games they've got in the Champions League, it's money.
Would there not be more money and eyes on the Conference League if you had the likes of AC Milan, Salzburg drop down? I'm looking at other teams.
They will, but what they'll say is that they feel like what people always said is in the old system is that it devalued the Europa League and the Conference League because teams were dropping down, and they basically saying like it devalues the competition because it's just like. You get what I'm trying to say? Whereas now they're like, no, it's its own.
Shamrock Rovers devalues
No, but when you take it to the extremes, especially with the Conference League, I don't think it's a bigger deal with the Europa League because in that Europa League, you probably still got some mint teams in that Europa League, yeah. But when you're talking about the Conference League, you are right. You are going to get every year in Italy, Germany, Spain, and England, you're always going to get one team that just underperforms and qualifies for the Conference League, and they're just going to be so much better than everybody else in the Conference League.
Okay, so here's the stat, right? Chelsea's team is worth apparently like close to 1.7 billion euros. Apparently, the Conference League teams combined, bar Chelsea's squads, are worth that.
Yeah, that's
Chelsea's
right.
squad on their own is worth the
I think
whole
Conference League. I think what you're trying to say is, I agree with the Conference League. Bro, yeah, you don't win that, bro.
It's like, for me, like the conference, I think what it will do with the Conference League and the Europa League is it will make it easier for some of the lower teams to actually compete and win in it, which I think is quite a good thing. Because if you get like a mad team win the Conference League or the Europa League, I think it's good for football. With the Champions League format, I'm with LB. I only really cared about 3 teams last year, and they were the 3 teams in my group. Because until we get to the last, you don't need to care about anybody, do you? Now all of a sudden it's like, oh crikey, they're actually behind us. They're on 6 points as well. Wow, they're on 4 points as well. So like City and Arsenal at the moment, both on 4 points. Last season, I didn't give a care about Man City because I knew they were going to win their group. Now it's like actually it'd be quite nice to compete with their City, and you can actually judge where you are at in terms of some of the other teams already. And I think as well, what it does, I think what it can do is potentially it could really put some twists and turns in it now. And I don't think it would have before. I think everybody knew last year it was like they're going to finish first, they're going to finish second. And the biggest shock will be, wow, actually, they finished second and I thought they were going to finish first. That's the only shock you get. Now I think you might get a bit more, man. Could be. Do you know what,
Dan? You are right. Looking at the table, if you look from 13th to 19th, you've got PSG, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern, and Arsenal in that mix.
Crazy,
2 games played already. So there's some big teams already hanging around the wrong end of the table where they don't want to be at. So
that's what I mean.
Yeah, you do make a good point.
Look, it's only 2 games, so there's a lot to go. You can't judge it right now, but you know, because in 2 games' time, the people at the top could be down the bottom. That's how quick it can change. Right? I quite like it, man. I think it's.
I hear that.
I've got to see it play out. I've got to see it the whole season. I can't just go 2 games in. This is much better. I've got to see it all first. But
and I think
from the early signs, it's pretty good.
That's also the incentive as well. When you've had like a bad, like you said, from 13th to 19th, them European super clubs, right? Let's say now you're going, I don't know, I'm just going to use the Team City played example, away to a Bratislava, let's say match day 6 or 7, and you're not necessarily in that top 8 yet. You're now going to have to field a somewhat strong team to get over the line. Whereas if it was group stage and it was match day 5 or 6, where you're pretty much through, you're resting a lot of players. It's not that great of a spectacle. So I can't lie, I'm for it. It does have its disadvantages. Like some people say player welfare, they're playing too much games, but we're fans. We're not players. At the end of the day, we want to be entertained. But at the same time, right, you don't want injuries because I look at our November and October with the Premier League intertwined with the...
Oh, if you see October... I need to pull these up, man. Your fixtures are
crazy.
raw, bro. What is going on there?
Crazy.
Do you think we'll see teams' squad size either be increased or more teams sort of adding to their squad at the levels Chelsea did in the summer? Especially with
think
like,
more
the Club
teams will have
World
to
Cup
add.
on the horizon as well every 4 years.
I think more teams have to
You're going
add.
to need a squad of 25 now, not a squad of 19, 20, aren't you?
Yeah, like minimum, Dan, by the way.
Look at that.
That's
That's not
crazy.
good, man.
Look at the November and October, especially. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So you got. I mean, Palace away. I think you'll be. I know that's a hard place to go, but they're rubbish at the moment. Chelsea, Liverpool's going to be tasty. Arsenal, Liverpool's going to be tasty. Brighton twice in the cup and the league. That's going to be tasty.
That's the
Then you got
perfect example of
Villa.
player
Oh
welfare
my
there,
God.
though, isn't it?
Leverkusen, Villa, Real Madrid.
This is the 4 in a row, yeah,
Liverpool.
that concerned me. Real Madrid, City, St James Park, and then the Merseyside derby, all back to back to back. That run.
Dan and LB are loving that. I'm telling you that
Yeah.
right now. They're so
I
happy.
think the thing is, though, it's also an opportunity because like people can look at it like, right, that's dead. But if you come out of that with like looking
Unscathed,
good,
yeah,
then
you probably win the league, don't you?
You're going to get to a point
Flying.
where like you've just got like dead teams and you can just find wins. So like, I look at that, man. If I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be like, yo, that's a bit mad, but like, bring it on.
I'm
Let's
excited for it. I'm definitely, because end of the day, as a fan, you want to see your club in the biggest games. But I think what Dan said, I actually agree. I think January windows now, as much as it's hard to get players in January window, clubs will extort you, whatnot. You want to keep your best players. I actually feel like the overall transfer budget in the January windows is going to increase over the next 2-3 years now, because I think the injuries will increase because of the amount of games, and I think you're actually going to have to break the bank. You're going to have no choice. So I agree with you, Dan. I think players will start, especially in the January window. I think clubs will start breaking the bank. And
100%. I agree. Listen, we spoke about it. Well, we touched on it a little bit, but I do want to speak about it in more depth. Real Madrid boys, yeah. Obviously, like Roms, you saying you went and seen them last week. I'd be interested to sort of like get a more in-depth take on that. But there are also some rumors coming out, and again, it's only speculation at the moment. It could be complete BS. That there's some like little bit of friction in the camp. Mbappe's come in there, and obviously, like, where's he going to be playing like properly throughout the season? Jude Bellingham. Basically, I've seen it this morning that they reckon that there's potential slight friction between Bellingham and Mbappe. Like, it might be complete BS, right? But that's the rumors. Have they gone down the PSG route when they got Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi and just think, oh, we'll get all the best players and it'll work like it's a FIFA game, not thinking about the balance and the harmony of the squad? Because I'm seeing a lot of people who are watching them saying they don't look like cohesive. They don't look like a balanced team. Robs, let me come to you because obviously you watched them as well last week. What's your views on that, man?
yeah, so even last week when they played Alaves, the first 20 minutes of black, I think Lucas Vazquez scored within the first 45 seconds, but then they kind of have a balance issue. Like Ancelotti started to make changes, and you can tell they're playing more as individuals instead of a cohesive unit. And to answer your question, LB, when you said, are they kind of going down the PSG route? They've kind of always done this. Like even with their, I think, like in the noughties with Figo, R9, and Guti and Beck and whatnot, I think that was underwhelming for them because they didn't win the league for X amount of years. They didn't win the Champions League for like 12 years. I think, because I saw that this morning as well, apparently there's a risk potentially between Mbappe and Bellingham. And I think there is something there because I think you've got a player Mbappe that said many times he wants to play on the left. But you've got Vinny that's excelled on the left the last 2-3 years. Yeah. And then you've got Rodrigo that's on the right, but then people are saying, you need to fit Goulart in there, you need to fit Endrick in there. It's like everyone's kind of being shoehorned there, everyone's fighting for positions, and normally that should breed better performances, competitiveness, but it's going the other way. It's almost backfiring for them. And I think they stockpiled in a lot of positions, and people say historically this is what they do, but I think they've got the wrong profile of player. I feel like it's Mbappe and Vinny, two of the best players fighting for the same position. The one that doesn't get the left position, I feel like they're not going to excel as much as they should. We know Mbappe is a good player, but he said repeatedly, even at PSG, he doesn't want to play in the middle. He wants to play on the left. But you've got Vinny that's excelled there. I just think it's a balance issue, LB. And even in the midfield, right, Valverde's been class. But even with Bellingham, Valverde, and Tchouaméni, they're kind of getting walked through a bit easy. And I think they've missed Camavinga. I think he came back last night. But I think him coming back into the fold will be good for them. But I think the main thing for them this season, I spoke to some of the fans at the ground last week, they're missing Toni Kroos. There's no control in that team now. I think that is the main thing because you've got a lot of runners. You've got Camavinga that runs. You've got Tchouaméni that runs. Bellingham's a runner. Valverde that's a runner. But no one that just calms down and relaxes the tempo of the game. So I know we can speak about their front line, but I think for me, it's their midfield. I think Toni Kroos is a big, big miss for them, and they need to sign, because there's even links of us signing Tchouaméni now and them getting them more of a controller. So I think that's one of the big differences this year. They've got no one to calm down the game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you. And big up Jack as well. Says Mbappe will be out by 2025. I can genuinely see it. Bloody hell, that's a bit of a madness. The thing is as well, yeah. Here's the thing with Real Madrid. I genuinely think they would have been better off getting Haaland over Mbappe, and that's why in the summer and like in the last 18 months of I've been pushing Real Madrid to get Mbappe, because I was like, if they get Mbappe, then they're not going to get Haaland, man, because then they've got way too many players at that point. Like they have to get rid of someone, and if they get, we could maybe get one of them. I don't know how you're going to fit, like you just said, them. I don't know how you're going to fit all those players into this team and make it a balanced side. And like even when he signed Mbappe, I was kind of like,
they've done this before, haven't they, Real Madrid? They've done this before. If you remember years ago, I remember when we got to the final with the Champions League, we had Real Madrid, and I just was confident because, yeah, they had unbelievable players. Figo, Beckham, Raul, Zidane, R9. They had them all, but there was like way too many of them. It's like, how are you going to play them all together? And I kind of feel like Mbappe, for me, I think Vinny Jr. is better than Mbappe. A lot of people don't.
I agree. I
agree with you, Dan.
Yeah, I think Vinny Jr. is better. So for me, he's not playing on the left. The only thing you can do is play Mbappe left and then Vinny Jr. right and then somebody else up top. I don't think that'll work either. So for me,
you got to drop Rodrigo.
Then you're dropping Rodrigo. So they've got to put themselves in a predicament they didn't need to, man. So you're right, LB. They should have gone for a centre forward, a proper 9, in my opinion. I'm not sure Mbappe is a proper 9. Look, I'm sure he'll play.
They did sign Endrick.
Yeah, Hendrick's played. He played last night, Hendrick, didn't he? He got taken off in the end by Mbappe, apparently. But look, I don't know. I don't know what's going on at Real Madrid. Maybe it's true. There's upset in camp. I don't know. I haven't heard that rumor, but maybe it's true. But look, I still fancy them to go far because Ancelotti knows what he's doing and they'll settle eventually, in the next few weeks. But they're too good not to go far, aren't they?
Yeah. And the standard of football in Europe at the moment is just on its ass. So like they'll just naturally, even if they don't look balanced, they'll still get to the semi-final at least because they're just miles better than everybody else. But it does leave the potential for maybe one of the English clubs to go in at Real Madrid at the end of the season and go and get someone, because one of them is not going to be playing in it. Like whether it's Rodrigo, whether it's Valverde, whether it's Camavinga, Tchouaméni, they can't play them all. And ultimately, players like to play, right? But they also want to play big games. They want to be playing the big games. So you can find a player who maybe played 35, 40 games a season. You go, oh, why would he leave? Why? Because he don't play Barcelona, he don't play El Clasico, don't play in the Madrid derby, don't play in the big Champions League games. And then he'll maybe want to leave. So for me, my club, and I think everyone on this panel should be doing the same thing, is I want to be looking at that Real Madrid team at the end of the year, identifying which player ain't getting picked in the big games and making a move, because whoever it is, they'll probably walk straight into our teams, because Valverde, Rodrigo, whoever it is, because one of them's going to be...
Tchouaméni's the one, isn't he? Tchouaméni's the one they're saying is out of favour and he's probably going to want to move in the summer. Obviously, Modric will be leaving. You've got Tchouaméni, you've got Valverde still there, Camavinga's still there, Bellingham. It's crazy. So you've got one attacker and one midfielder that's probably going to be really out of place in the summer. So yeah,
I actually think Bellingham is the player that's most out of place at the moment, and is really causing a problem for Ancelotti because of he was makeshift striker and attacker last season. He never ever made the midfield role his own, and they put him there, and he obviously did fantastic. He's now started last night left mid, playing out wide again, being forced out there. So Ancelotti already knows he can't fit him in because he's trying to play. He's trying to play Vinicius and Endrick up top last night, and probably Mbappe would have the left side. I think, and then there's articles coming out now from AS, which is one of the papers in Spain, suggesting that Bellingham's form has dropped off since the arrival of Mbappe. Hence, I think Jerry Armstrong said it a few weeks ago on the Liga commentary. There's a bit of a rift being reported that it's not all well in Real Madrid's camp because there's a lot of pressure on Mbappe to deliver, and apparently Bellingham dropping off at the same time. So I wonder if it's going to be like Bellingham sticking around long enough to become the villain here, rather than being obviously this unbelievable player that they had last season. This is where they may have too many egos now, and I just wonder how easily managed that is. Like Ancelotti's done fantastic with players that were all on a similar level of ego, but you throw Mbappe into the mix, Like I don't know whether there's an injury last night, but he's not going to be happy not playing in the Champions League, losing to his brother's side. Like I know his brother's injured, but he ain't going to be happy with that. So yeah. If the Spanish press turn, it's a horrible place to be. Look at Bale.
100%. 100%. Yeah. But the thing is, Mbappe's got the aura, bro. He's got the PR, and I think he plays up to... When you go to Real Madrid, you've basically got to say, I'm fucking here, mate. Like, I'm the man. If you were... And I think that's the problem with Bale. Bale's too much of a nice guy. He was too much of a, he didn't, whereas Bellingham, like he's always on the ads, look at his celebrations. He's got that aura. He's got, and people throw the word aura around, right? But I think at Real Madrid, you do need to have that.
Yeah.
You need to show them fans.
Stand in front of 90,000 fans and just do that every time you score.
LB, it's even evident, like, when he goes into 50-50, he's always beefing other players. He's always getting into, he believes he's him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's
how many hymns can you have in a dressing room?
Facts.
It's true. Facts. Because then ego's getting away and you start clashing. You think you're bigger than him, and you're spot on. You're spot on.
Like Bellingham is too good to be shifted out to left mid. It's like Ancelotti, he has got too many players, but surely Tchouaméni is benchable when you've got Bellingham. But Tchouaméni and Camavinga cost small fortunes as well. It's not like they were cheap. I think we're probably looking at 60 to 80 million for both of them.
What is Bellingham's best position, though?
I think a really dynamic 8, actually.
Same, yeah.
What, like proper box to box?
Box to box. Like, honestly, a modern day, 8, like, between the mix of, Lampard, Gerrard, can do a bit of everything. I don't think he's a dictator. I don't think he's a 6. I think he did well at 10 in a team in transition, but I'm not sure that's where his future lies, because I just don't think there's enough to his game to be involved all the time in a 10. I think we saw it in England at times. He sort of disappeared, didn't he, a little bit in the 10?
Yeah, he's not a 10 in my opinion either. I think he's a box to box. I think
at Dortmund he played in that 8 role, and he was unreal. It got him the move, basically.
Exactly, and that's like for England. That's why I would drop him. I wouldn't play him in the 10. I'd play him and Rice together in the kind of the double together, and then you can have Foden in front, and then Palmer, Saka, Kane.
I actually think he belongs in a 4-3-3. I think he belongs in a 4-3-3. I think he needs someone sitting behind him. And I think he needs a player that can definitely allow him to go forward and cover at times for him as well.
Who would be? Because I don't think he's a great creator.
Can you imagine? Right. So no, I don't think he's a great creator. So that's why I think you need a Camavinga in that midfield. You need a Camavinga.
Camavinga's the creator.
I think Camavinga can be more of a creative than Bellingham. If you're looking at Real Madrid's midfield, I think Tchouaméni can be the sitter. The guy's played centre-back half of last season as well. Whether or not he stays, I'm not sure. I think if you lined up with a front three of... Rodrigo probably misses out. You put Vinny out on the right because you paid 200 million to Mbappe to get him. You play him in his best position. Vinny on the right and probably play Endrick up front. I think that's probably looking at their best front three. If not, I think Vinny goes up front and Rodrigo stays on the right and Endrick don't play.
I hear your logic, but the thing is with Vinny, this is where sentiment might come into it. He's done so well in the last... Because remember when Vinny first started, you saw the whole Benzema thing with Ferland Mendy. He's playing against us in that.
Yeah.
I actually believe from that game, he has come on leaps and bounds. I think won 2 Champions League since that time. His stats are there, his performances are there. I just think, and even some of the Madrid fans are saying they're not happy with Mbappe. It's like, hold on, as much as we bought him on a free, so it's not that they had to pay too much money. I know his wages are astronomical, but it's like Vinny's been our guy. He's been our talisman the last year or two. It's unfair to just shift him. So Ancelotti's got a big problem on his side, and even Rodrigo played well against us, played well against LB's side. Like, he's done well in the Champions League and the league. So it's like, do you drop him as well?
But Rodrigo definitely doesn't have that aura that LB's talking about.
He doesn't. He's a nice guy.
But Rodrigo is 100% a better player than a Savinho, no? LB? Nah, or on a similar level.
He's more proven.
Right, okay. So it kind of reminds me of when like Pedro left Barcelona. Like no one was sure what to expect when Pedro left Barcelona. He come to Chelsea and he fit in. He actually did all right. I think if Rodrigo was to move, we might see the sort of player that he is. But I think he's the type of player that misses out here. I think he is. I actually think him and Valverde are probably the ones as good as Valverde is, and I think Ancelotti loves him.
Captain Valverde.
Yeah, but I just don't know where he's going to. You either have to play to fit him in and play him as a fullback or a wide midfielder. Like,
Dan,
I think you're squeezing him in.
I see your logic. Like I know you rate Rodrigo and Valverde as ballers, but like we're speaking about the aura thing, because they're too nice. Like you have to have a bit of a personality to get in that 11.
Yeah,
and I feel like you think they're going to be the two admissions.
They're not. They're not
Galacticos.
They're not.
Yeah,
I know there's
yeah.
a lot, but if we're talking about Madrid doing this whole new Galactico thing with Bellingham, they're going to sign Saliba. They're going to sign. They've obviously got Mbappe. They're going to sign all the new Galacticos, right? They're definitely doing it again because they actually have the biggest pull out of any European club, 100%. I just think there's a couple. Endrick was the superstar from Brazil again. They've done it again.
Yeah.
They're going to start losing. Like the Galacticos are going to have to push some of these players out of the team that have been there doing a job for a few years whilst they haven't been full of Galacticos.
Tim makes a good point. Even Ozil years ago, like he didn't really have a big personality, and they moved him on. Because I think the chat are misunderstanding. We're not saying Rodrigo and Valverde they're quality. They can pretty much go to most teams in world.
They'll walk into any other team probably.
Exactly.
Yeah. They
the irony is
walk into Real Madrid's 11. That's why this is such a difficult situation to manage.
Yeah.
Like Valverde is unbelievable. If he moves, he's £100 million player. Rodrigo's 80 million, isn't he? Like these are unbelievable players. Like LB said, a Prem team or two are going to be sniffing around January and the summer because Madrid have got an issue. They've recruited too many players.
Do you know the irony? We've been linked with Rodrigo for the past 2 years to replace Salah. We got quoted at about 80 million. We've been linked to Valverde. We got quoted at about 100 million. And even Tchouameni. All their kind of fringe players or players that don't really impose themselves. Nothing to do with their ability. We've been linked to them. And like you said, all of their sums have been quite high. So
they will find a way though, man. They will find a way. And like, look, three of us on this panel were really worried that some of our players might be leaving in the next few years, right? So, you know, Trent, Saliba, Rodri, all linked with Man City, with Real Madrid. It's like
Palmer will probably be linked with
soon. I've had conversations about Palmer being linked.
It'll be the next one, bro. Like when they come knocking, it is a different knock. It don't matter how much they love the club, because that's what you hear. Oh, I can't see him leaving. He loves City. He loves Liverpool. He loves us. Don't matter, man. Like they will go. Yeah. Trust me, they will.
Like, especially if they're not winning trophies. Palmer, you can see all four of them in that Madrid squad in the next 10 years. Couldn't you?
Do you know what's crazy as well? You're spot on, Potts, because like you said, LB, especially if you're not winning trophies, but then there's two examples I always give, even if you are winning trophies. Hazard won pretty much everything bar the Champions League at Chelsea. He's still there. Cristiano Ronaldo wanted to leave a year earlier off the back of a free feet, and he's still there. Their knock is very different.
Do you know what makes that knock even stronger now? Is that they've now realised their status in world football, and these players will literally run their contracts down, and instead of the club and strengthening a European rival, they now pay that money into the player's bank account rather than the club's pocket. Yep. Look at PSG. Yep. They offered like 150, 200 million. PSG said no. And Mbappe was like, right, I'll finish the contract, then I'll go. And Mbappe took probably the best part of 100 to 150
million. He changed the game, Mbappe. I called it at the time. I said at the time, PSG made the worst decision ever by just giving him what he wanted every time. They should have said to him, you're either signing a 5-year contract or we're selling you. Yeah, we're not letting you run your contract down. And you're right, Dan. I think football's changed. And I think you see, obviously, there's a little bit of worry at the moment with Trent at Liverpool. He's going to sign a new deal. Because how much is Trent? Say Trent had a 3-year contract. He's an £80 million player. Easy.
Yeah. So what Trent either takes 300 grand a week at Liverpool and like a great bonus scheme, or he goes to Madrid and they put 60 million in his bank account on 200 grand a week. What one are you going to take?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You take that money being deposited all day long.
And this is why, I'm on to City now. As soon as a player gets to 3 years, I'm like, right, you need to start offering a new deal. Because
that's why Chelsea are doing
you're screwed.
That's why Chelsea are doing these ridiculously long contracts, and then they're extending them as soon as they can. They've already extended Enzo, Cole Palmer, and Jackson, who are like the 3 players probably with the most hype at Chelsea over periods of time when they have their contract extended. Like, they're on stupidly long contracts to avoid that sort of situation.
You got to win trophies, man. You got to pay massive wages and win trophies, otherwise they will go to Madrid. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. I guess as well, though, this is also a risk when you buy younger players. You know what I mean? Like, if you buy younger players, this is one of the risks that, like, you develop them, you get them to a solid level, and then they don't renew the contracts, and then they dip off.
This is where United's game plan comes into place, isn't it? Where they sit there waiting for the drip off the top of the tree. And they're just waiting just below now. And they're like, right, we'll have a De Ligt, we'll have a Varane, we'll take a chance on Casemiro. They work for a season, they don't get injured. It looks a bit better, doesn't it? But that's where I think that the likes of like Man United might have a plan. But I'm sure we'll start to see other sort of teams do that as well.
Yeah, facts. Taku, nah. Galactico ain't about quality. For me. The word Galactico,
it's star power, like star quality.
Yeah, it's
Beckham's, the Dans.
Yeah,
like
that's Galactico isn't about how good you are. Galactico is about like your aura, basically.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Like you could appear on the cover of Vogue or GQ if you're a Galactico, innit?
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like,
100%. Big up to Akash as well. Says, boys, can we do these kind of shows more? Tired of banter. You guys just talking football. 4 English clubs are not qualifying now. So then you do your banter yourself, bro. The super chat. Bro's like, don't want to do banter. None of you are qualifying. Big up, though. Big up, man.
Big up.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. United are playing tonight in it, Champions League, I think. No, not Champions League. What's it? What are they in? Are they in Conference League or Europa? League?
Europa. They start
Europa,
yeah.
What about you, Dano? What are you playing in?
We got Ghent tonight, mate. Yeah, and I was saying it's a bit shocking how United are playing this bad, and they were the team that pipped us to the Europa League, and they're like really embarrassing England, and they're in Europe under 10 half. So, yeah, I would have rather been in the Europa League for sure, but yeah, we got Ghent tonight in the
bro. I'm looking at some of the teams in that Conference League.
The Conference League is a joke. Like
Look
it's an. I did.
There's some teams I've never heard of.
Yeah.
Genuinely never heard.
No, never heard of. Chelsea have got a game in Kazakhstan, and we've got a game
Noah.
And a game, and we've got to play FC Noah. They're from Armenia.
Circle Bruges. That's like Club Bruges on PES, isn't it? That's Pro Evolution Soccer Club Bruges, bro. Yeah. What is this, man? They've got the rights. They got the rights to the real name, innit? That is crazy. Real.
Just on that day, I've only heard of one team, Hearts. That's it.
Yeah.
Olympia Ljubljana, bro. Who it is these teams?
That's Slovenia. Like,
who's Milada Milovslav? Who's that? He's just mad, isn't it?
This
crazy.
is wild.
I've heard of Mulder.
Wait, Dan, you see Champions League how there's that 36 teams.
That's what I'm saying, I actually don't know. Probably like 20, 30, something like that. Probably similar numbers.
Maybe we've got less.
We do have less games, so probably 24.
Maybe what they should do is then, because I agree, with what you're saying, Dan, about that. I think what they should do is, keep the Europa League as it is. Yeah, don't take the dropouts from the Champions League, right? But maybe the dropouts for the Europa League maybe funnel them in for the Europe.
Okay, so there is 36 teams in this as well.
I think it's 36 in each one, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why you're getting all these dead teams, because like they never would have got into the tournament before. It's good for them. But then it kind of just means like when you get the Conference League now, let's be honest, like Dan said, like it's going to be Chelsea that win that Champions League, innit? Chelsea, Fiorentina, or Copenhagen. Like we're just kind of wasting time.
You know what is harsh though, right? Is if that is how dead those teams are going to be, they need to start opening up qualifications from England as well. Then they need to get like the top 9 or something goes into the Conference League or something, because this is dead, man. I'd much rather see Brentford in there or like West Ham in there again or whoever else, Brighton, than bloody FC Noah. And
but that just means, but then you just got the Premier League just cooking Europe in it.
That's what we want, though, right?
I think let the Europa League teams, when the Europa League teams go through to that knockout game, whoever loses goes into the conference. So you have eight Europa League teams going into the Conference League.
Sure, that's a shout. So you have the 8 that qualify, and then you have 8 playoffs come through from the Conference League and 8 playoffs from the Europa League, mixed like of the bottom of Europa League and the I see what you're saying. And so say you had like places 24 to 18 or 24 to 16 is the right amount. 24 to 16 play the bottom 8 of the Europa League.
Yeah,
that would be better, wouldn't it? I agree. And then you still get the same. Yeah.
Because let's be honest, like no sponsor wants to sponsor the fucking Conference League, mate. So like, surely financially it's better for them to do it like that. Huh?
Some of the grounds that these players, like we're talking about World Cup winners, are going to be rocking up at grounds where the away changing room is going to be of a level that some of us may have played at.
It's not even just that, Dan. Not even just the changing rooms. The pitch as well. You can have bad pitches. You might have 4G pitches.
So we've got a couple of 3 o'clock kickoffs because of like frozen pitches.
3 o'clock?
Yeah,
Bro.
I think we got a 3 o'clock or something.
Check this out, yeah. I'll be deadly serious, yeah. I thought, right, when Dan said that about the stadiums, I was like, right, let me pick a random team, yeah. So I went to this club here,
Oh,
CS Petro Club, right? Just
Where are
random
they
club
from?
off this list, right? So I googled it, yeah. They don't even have a badge on Google, yeah. They're go to NPC, yeah. Check this out. Go to the about section. Moldova capacity 1,100.
Moldova is literally a third world country.
Bro, this is the pitch.
Look at
bro.
the pitch. That has to be a joke.
What?
Nah, bro.
No.
Cole Palmer and Kunku rocking up at this in the last
Oi,
16.
you know what? That's why some of them aren't in the squad, because he don't want them getting injured on these sort of pitches.
I don't blame him, because look, you even saw
Bro.
Villa at Young Boys the other day, and a lot of the Villa players kept just looking at the service that we're not used to this, but going to grounds like this, you know what? That's very smart of Maresca. Very smart. That's
you know
crazy.
What? I actually thought there was a minimum ground size or like safety level that has to be used to play in UEFA competition. So I think some of these teams will have to go and play at other grounds. Like we've got Noah, or not Noah, who is it? Astana. Astana can't play at their home ground. They've got to play 3 hours away because that's the only ground.
Exactly. So this is another BS thing about the competition, is because UEFA, and rightly so, UEFA will say, well, we can't be playing on stadiums like that, lads. Like, so then for the Champions League or the Conference League, they'll have to move to like the national stadium, play all the games at the national stadium, which for the fans could be 3-4 hours away.
Yeah,
so,
that Astana trip is a 10.5-hour journey there. So it's like a 21-hour round trip.
Oh my!
On a
God.
Thursday for Chelsea fans. Yeah, it's a joke,
Honestly,
mate.
man.
Oh, we can't moan. We were shocking
win
last
this, man, I'll
season.
tell you
Do you know what I mean?
Who did you play in the playoffs to get in the competition? Who was the club you played? It was
Servette, and we actually won and lost one.
Servette,
exactly, and even their pitch. Like I saw some of your players, like, oh my God, we can't play on this. Like we're going to get injured. Like, it's crazy. It's actually crazy.
And they've won their league. Like they're in Switzerland. It's not short of a bit of money as well. Do you know what I mean? Like we're going to be going to.
Do you think then? One of you said it before. I can't remember, right? Because basically, what we're saying is the Conference League, in principle, is a good idea. The problem is every year you're going to get a team in one of the big leagues that just underperforms and qualifies for the Conference League, like Chelsea, and it'll just become a joke. Everybody knows Chelsea winning that Conference League already, right? Do we think then that basically the solution to this is effectively the old Super League, where you have a relegation and promotion? So eventually, over a period of years, all the better teams will go up to the Champions League. Then you've got all the teams in the Europa League, and then all the shit ones, and eventually it will become like legit. And you're not going to have that problem of having a random team like Chelsea in the Conference League. I think that's the way they'll end up doing it.
I think you're spot on, LB. I think you're spot on.
The thing is that for some of those teams, if they manage to get themselves through the Conference League, like they'll get amount of money that will absolutely change their fortunes forever. Like they could get 5 million or something like that, and that will absolutely change.
What is that? What you get for Conference League?
I don't know if the winner gets something like 15 million.
How much?
It's not a lot.
You get for winning.
And like you said, Dan, even if let's say you get to a last 16 in conference and you get maybe 100k, that can buy you a new pitch. Won't be playing on pitches that we just saw. Do you know what I mean?
That's it. Or like they get a better stand. That could do anything. It could buy them a star player for a few years, or it puts their players on a bigger stage and they're able to sell them for more money. Like it will help these clubs, but at the same time, like they are of a level that is.
Yeah, it says here you get 500,000 euros for a win in the Conference League. So that's not bad, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, if we take, for example, that random team, then what were they called?
Petro Club.
Petro Club, right? With that ground, yeah.
They're probably the richest team in Moldova with that name as well. Petro. They could probably got oil money behind them.
You know what's funny as well, yeah, is on this point, right? Because obviously, if you remember that stadium that I just showed you, then clearly, if they get 500,000 euros. They're clearly not a club that get a load of money in it, like based off as a stadium. So 500,000, they win one game, 500,000 euros. That could do mad stuff for that stadium. Yeah. Here's the problem that someone said on Twitter yesterday, and I kind of get what he's saying, is that there's only going to be one or two Moldovan teams in the Conference League, right? So if they're getting an extra 2.5 million quid every year, they are just going to absolutely tank the Moldovan league, because no one else in that league is getting any cash in it. And they're getting another. If they say they win three games, that's 1.5 mil. That's just going to ruin.
But then the only thing is, say they get a European hangover, and then the other team, like they don't qualify one year, and then like a random third place team sneaks in, that could be in the space of 5 years. 3 of their teams could have completely transformed their horizons by being in this competition.
And do you know what? That will do well for even their domestic league because now they're all kind of on a level playing field.
And then the best teams from like Petro Club, the best players won't be able to get in anymore because they can go and buy players from like Europa League level or something like that. And then they'll filter down to like the 4th place teams. That it will only benefit those leagues. And maybe in 20 years' time, we'll be like, that was one of the best things that ever happened to like poor level European football. But at the same, and it'll be some quality away days, by the way, like some unbelievable away day experiences. But yeah, it's such a strange one right now, though, isn't it? When it's fresh, like I think Tottenham decline? I think they said no under Ange, or not. Maybe
I just don't think they qualified, bro.
I think they even lost. If I remember rightly, they lost to someone called Mora or something.
They lost to Maura Higgins from Love Island. Under Conte, wasn't it? Under Conte,
was it?
No way. That was a madness. Anyway, guys, make sure you are smashing up the likes, man. Big up to Anakin. Says, LB, could we get Camavinga in the summer? I don't know if we could get him, but if we can, go and get him because I think he's an absolute beast in that midfield. And we need some fresh legs, man. So, yeah, see what we do in the summer. But I think all clubs should be looking at Real Madrid and try to get someone out of there. But, yeah, listen, big up the panel, obviously, for coming on, Roms, Potsy and Dan. We'll get these shows going every Thursday, lads, and we can just like review Champions League and just cook United. You know what I mean? So it's big up, man. But yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, let us know in the comment section below. Make sure you guys are smashing up the likes. If you find any more funny stadiums, in the Conference League, feel free to drop me a message on Insta or something, or let me know in the comment section. We'll see the worst stadium in the Conference League, man. That could be a video idea. So yeah, smash up the like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.